Have you ever wondered if there's a dark side to the happiest place on earth? I'm Isabella, and here at the Spooky Spot, we uncovered the mysterious and chilling tales that are hiding in plain sight. Today, we're discussing the top 3 mysterious deaths at Disney parks that will make you question everything you thought you knew about the most magical place on earth. So buckle up and get ready for a chilling ride. Disneyland opened its doors in 1955 and very quickly became known as the happiest place on earth. But for some families, this is a place where nightmares would become a reality. There's been a total of 93 fatalities at Disney parks since they first opened their doors 70 years ago. Some of those deaths were natural, others were accidental, and there have even been 2 cases of murder. There are rumors that Disney has a policy that bans people from dying in their parks. And one former employee of Disney even stated that they had a coworker tell him, "No one dies at Disney." And it's even been rumored that nobody is declared dead until they leave Disney property. Disney World used to have its own fire and emergency equipment, so it was said if someone died or was fatally injured in a Disney park, heroic efforts were to be continued until the emergency vehicle left the park property. Today, we will not only be discussing the top 3 mysterious deaths at Disney parks, but we will be asking ourselves a serious question. And no, that question is not if Walt Disney's head was actually cryogenically frozen and stored somewhere in the depths of Disneyland. But the question is, does Disney hide deaths? Starting with our first mysterious death, we will be going back to September 12th of 1992. September 12th was just like any other day at Disney. Families stood in line for the rides, they ate unique foods, and unforgettable memories were made. But all good things must come to an end, and it was finally time for everyone to leave the park. Everyone except for one person. The park security guards noticed that one person had lingered behind over an hour and a half after the park had closed. The man had an athletic bag slung over his shoulder, and based on his demeanor, you'd never know that he was standing in the happiest place on earth. This person would later be identified as 37-year-old Allen Ferris, and he did not come to Disney World looking to have a good time, but instead he was looking for his ex-girlfriend, who just so happened to be a security guard at the Disney park. 3 security guards approached Allen and told him that the park was now closed and he needed to leave. Allen demanded to see his ex-girlfriend and was once again told the park was closed and he needed to leave. That's when Allen pulled a sawed-off shotgun out of his athletic bag and fired 3 shots at the security guards. The 3 security guards attempted to run away from Allen, and one of them did manage to get away. But the other 2 security guards stopped in their tracks when Allen fired another shot at them and told them to stop right there or he was going to kill them. Allen would take these 2 security guards hostage in a bathroom near the Journey to Imagination Pavilion. But luckily, this whole ordeal only lasted for about 10 minutes. Orange County deputies quickly surrounded the bathroom and demanded that Allen release the hostages, which he ultimately did. But when Allen himself walked out of the restroom and the police told him to drop his sawed-off shotgun, he told them, "No, just shoot me. You're going to have to kill me." Deputies held their fire and watched in horror as Allen raised the sawed-off shotgun to his head and pulled the trigger without ever having a chance to speak to his ex-girlfriend. Allen was pronounced dead much later at the Orlando Regional Medical Center, which just adds to the claims that no one dies at Disney. Our next mysterious death begins on June 14th of 2016. 2 Disney World guests had warned employees that there was an alligator hanging out on the beach near the Seven Seas Lagoon. He was standing on his hotel porch and he quickly alerted Disney staff. Another woman was actually on the beach with her daughter when her daughter approached a Disney employee and said that there was an alligator about 5 feet from the shore at around 8:15 p.m. And that's when the mother and daughter were told that traps had been put into place to trap the alligator. Regardless of the fact that this incident was reported very quickly, it's unclear the steps that Disney had taken or had planned to take in regards to this alligator. But one thing we do know for certain is that they should have done more, or they should have at least acted quicker to prevent the tragedy that is about to occur. There were signs around the beach that read "No swimming" and "No fishing," but there was not a single sign in the area that hinted towards the presence of alligators. And it's very likely that if these signs had been in place, that this tragedy never would have happened. Matt and Melissa Graves took their 2 children to the beach at Seven Seas Lagoon to watch the movie Zootopia. As the family was waiting for the movie to begin, their 2-year-old son Lane would join the other children on the beach in the ankle-deep water, collecting water in buckets to build sandcastles. An 8-foot alligator would emerge from the water, bite 2-year-old Lane on the head, and drag him into the deep depths. Lane's father would jump into the water and attempt to rip the boy from the alligator's mouth, but ultimately his hands were injured and the alligator would vanish with the toddler. The father would also suffer an injury to his leg, but it's unclear as to how this happened because he did not see another alligator in the area at the time of this attack. Rescue efforts would continue for 16 hours until the 2-year-old's body was found submerged in 7 feet of water near where the attack had happened. 6 alligators were captured and euthanized in the days after this tragedy, but it's unclear whether any of these alligators were the perpetrator. Over the course of the next 5 years, Disney would partner with trappers to remove 250 alligators from their parks. The trappers received $30 for every captured alligator, plus the proceeds from any leather or meat that was sold. Most of the captured alligators were euthanized and sold for their hide and meat. Some were transferred to alligator farms, exhibits, and zoos, and those that were less than 4 feet long were relocated. In the days following 2-year-old Lane's death, Disney put up a wall and warning signs around the waterways in all of their parks. But why weren't these signs put up in the first place to warn guests of the dangers that were lurking beneath the murky water? Why wasn't movie night canceled and the beach evacuated after the first sighting was reported? Why didn't Disney do more to protect its guests? The tragic death of 2-year-old Lane Graves has left a giant mark on Disney that has forever changed it for the better. But the tragic death of the 2-year-old is also leaving behind a mark on families of children that are in need of life-saving organ transplants. Lane's family formed the Lane Thomas Foundation in 2016, shortly after the toddler's tragic death, and since its foundation, they've helped over 150 families of children that need life-saving organ transplants. Our third and final death will take us to the day of October 5th, 2023. I'm going to attempt to say this name, but please don't hold it against me because I'm probably going to butcher it. Dr. Kanokporn Tangsuan, also known as Dr. Amy, which is what we will be referring to her as, attended the Disney World Park on October 5th of 2023, and it was her first day at the resort. Dr. Amy had severe allergies to nuts and dairy, which is actually what encouraged her to become a doctor in the first place. Whenever Dr. Amy would go out to eat at a restaurant, she was very vigilant about watching what she ate, alerting the staff to her allergies, and making sure that her EpiPen was always in reach. When Dr. Amy visited the Raglan Road Irish pub with her husband and her mother-in-law, she took the same precautions that she always took. Dr. Amy told the staff multiple times about her allergies, and seeing her concern, they assured her that her meal would be allergen-free. After the servers brought the meal out, Dr. Amy once again confirmed that her meal was allergen-free. Dr. Amy enjoyed her meal of scallops, onion rings, and broccoli and corn fritters, and she trusted that the staff had taken her concerns seriously. After Dr. Amy and her family left the pub, her husband went to the hotel room to drop off their leftovers, and Dr. Amy and her mother-in-law split up to go shopping in separate stores. Nearly an hour after the family had left the pub, Dr. Amy collapsed. A person called 911 and told dispatchers that Dr. Amy had administered the EpiPen to herself, but it was already too late, and some sources have even reported that the ambulance was slow to respond to Dr. Amy's medical emergency. While all of this was going on, Dr. Amy's husband and her mother-in-law were attempting to get in contact with her, but all of their phone calls would go unanswered. Finally, a stranger answered Dr. Amy's phone and informed her husband that she had been taken to the hospital. After her husband and mother-in-law arrived at the hospital, they were told that Dr. Amy had passed away. It was concluded that Dr. Amy had passed away from anaphylaxis from elevated levels of nuts and dairy in her system. I think that this is a situation where we can 100% say that Disney was negligent and they were at fault in this situation. So when Dr. Amy's husband filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Disney for $50,000, a relatively small amount in my opinion compared to the loss that he suffered, I'm certain that he wasn't prepared for what he would be told next. The lawsuit would ultimately be dismissed because Dr. Amy's husband had signed up for a Disney Plus free trial years before his wife's death. He had even canceled the subscription before the free trial was over. But because he had agreed to the terms and conditions when he had signed up for the free trial, Disney felt that this meant that they could brush Dr. Amy's death under the rug. But after public backlash that was very well deserved, Disney has announced that they will be going to court over the wrongful death lawsuit. Disney has been regarded as the happiest place on earth for the past 70 years, and part of that may be due to the fact that we don't typically hear of the tragedies that occur here. But why is that? Why does Disney go to such great lengths to cover up the deaths that occur at their parks? And from another perspective, why are Disney parks shrouded in rumors, myths, and conspiracy theories? From the cryogenically preserved head of Walt Disney being stored in the depths of Disneyland, to real skulls being used in the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction, there's no shortage of mysteries that leave us to ponder fact versus fiction. And if you are planning on visiting Disney anytime soon, keep in mind that cremated remains are illegally scattered around Disney parks at least once per month, which has led cast members to call this Code Grandma. The most common location for these ashes to be scattered is none other than the Haunted Mansion attraction, and it's actually said that these ashes are really hard to get out of the fake cobwebs. Whoopi Goldberg has even revealed that she scattered her mom's ashes at Disneyland in 2010 on the It's a Small World ride. So the next time that you're planning a fun family vacation, maybe think twice about visiting a Disney park, or at least watch where you step. Have you ever experienced something strange or spooky at a Disney park? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss out on our next spooky adventure.